Hello everyone and welcome to my channel. In September 1965, India and Pakistan went to war. The conflict, which would become known as the Indo-Pakistani War of 1965, would be fought across the Punjab, Sindh, Rajasthan, and Gujarat regions, with both sides claiming disputed territories in what is today Jammu and Kashmir as the casus belli. Despite being backed by their respective Cold War allies, the United States and the Soviet Union, the fighting would quickly devolve into a war of attrition along pre-established borders. While the Indian Army was larger than that of Pakistan, Pakistan's doctrine of fighting a limited war against a bigger enemy was well established, with the army more battle-hardened than their opponents. And while tanks would play an important role in the conflict, it would be the infantry who would bear the brunt of the fighting. Today we look at some of the tactics employed by the infantry of both sides during the war. We begin with the Indian 2nd Battalion, 7th Punjab Regiment. The men of the 2nd Battalion, 7th Punjab Regiment were deployed along the international border in the Punjab region in August 1965, after weeks of heightened tensions following a cross-border incursion into Jammu and Kashmir by Pakistani proxies. In the early hours of September, the men of the battalion came under fire from enemy forces just south of the town of Amritsar. After returning fire, the men quickly set up defenses and held out for several hours until relieved by other Indian forces. Following this initial engagement, the men of the battalion, along with those of 3rd Battalion, 7th Punjab Regiment, were tasked with securing the area around Amritsar and preventing any further incursions by Pakistani forces. This would include protecting vital supply hubs such as the railway line running between Amritsar and Attari. In order to achieve this, they would be supported by elements of the Indian Army's armored forces. Following the opening shots of the war on September, the 2-7 Punjabis were pushed forward into the Punjab region, with orders to secure the towns of Ferozepur and Fazilka. At this time, they would be supported by elements of the 4th Cavalry, including T-55 main battle tanks. However, it soon became apparent that the Pakistanis had anticipated this move and had laid mines across the route of advance. Unable to move forward, the 2-7 Punjabis spent much of the next 2 weeks in the relative safety of their defensive positions, relying on their supporting arms to engage the enemy. But with the Pakistanis unable to dislodge them, they would hold firm. On September, the men of the battalion were finally able to advance when Pakistani forces withdrew from their positions. The battalion would continue to push forward over the next few days, moving into areas abandoned by the Pakistanis, though some resistance would continue. With this, however, the battalion would spend much of the remainder of the war patrolling the international border. Weapons and equipment. The standard weapon for the infantrymen of the Indian Armed Forces was the Enfield bolt-action rifle, though these were often unreliable and prone to breaking down. As such, many soldiers carried a secondary weapon such as the Sten Mark II, as well as a variety of light machine guns, including the Bren and the Vickers. These weapons were typically issued on a per-platoon basis and provided much-needed suppressive fire in support of the men with rifles. Uniforms and personal equipment. Soldiers of the 2nd Battalion, 7th Punjab Regiment, wore a distinctive uniform of dark blue jackets with red trousers. Headgear consisted of the traditional British-style campaign hat, as well as a white helmet for use during urban operations. Soldiers also carried a webbing equipment consisting of various pouches for ammunition, water bottles, and other personal items. Many soldiers also carried personal items such as knives and even swords. Tactics. The 2nd Battalion, 7th Punjab Regiment was organized into 3 rifle companies, each consisting of 3 platoons and a headquarters company. Companies were deployed along the international border in defensive positions, utilizing natural and man-made cover as much as possible. When attacked, they would rely on small unit tactics to repel enemy assaults, utilizing the element of surprise and hit-and-run tactics when necessary. Now we look at the 12th Frontier Force Regiment of the Pakistan Army. Raised in 1923 as the 12th Frontier Force Rifles, the 12th Frontier Force Regiment, or 12FF for short, was raised in 1846 as part of the British Indian Army. They saw extensive action throughout the Second World War, including service in the Burma Campaign. Following independence in 1947, the regiment continued to serve in the Pakistan Army, taking part in the First Kashmir War in 1948. By 1965, the regiment had seen extensive action against Indian forces in Kashmir. In the lead-up to the war, the regiment was stationed in West Pakistan near the border with India, where they undertook extensive training in defensive tactics and guerrilla warfare. When war broke out in September 1965, the 12th FF was deployed to the Punjab region to take part in Operation Gibraltar. Their mission was to secure key points along the border and push into Indian territory. On September, elements of the regiment crossed the international border into India and engaged Indian forces. Fighting alongside them were elements of the 47th Punjab Regiment and the 31st Baluch Regiment. The objective was to secure the town of Sialkot, which was heavily defended by the Indian Army. Despite heavy casualties, the Pakistanis were able to secure the town and establish a bridgehead across the border. But the Indian Army was quick to respond. Within days, Indian reinforcements had arrived and launched a counterattack. The Pakistanis were forced to withdraw from Sialkot, but they continued to hold other positions along the border. Over the next 2 weeks, the 12th FF was involved in heavy fighting, engaging Indian forces in defensive positions. Throughout the conflict, the regiment was supported by armor and artillery, but it was often not enough. On September, the 12th FF was ordered to withdraw from its positions along the border and regroup in West Pakistan. They had played a significant role in the war, and their contributions were recognized with numerous military decorations. Weapons and equipment. The standard weapon for the infantrymen of the Pakistan Army was the Enfield bolt-action rifle. However, many soldiers also carried light machine guns such as the Bren and the Vickers. These weapons were typically issued on a per-platoon basis and provided much-needed suppressive fire in support of the men with rifles. Uniforms and personal equipment. Soldiers of the 12th Frontier Force Regiment wore a distinctive uniform of green jackets with black trousers. Headgear consisted of the traditional British-style campaign hat, as well as a white helmet for use during urban operations. Soldiers also carried a webbing equipment consisting of various pouches for ammunition, water bottles, and other personal items. Many soldiers also carried personal items such as knives and even swords. Tactics. The 12th Frontier Force Regiment was organized into 3 rifle companies, each consisting of 3 platoons and a headquarters company. Companies were deployed along the international border in defensive positions, utilizing natural and man-made cover as much as possible. When attacked, they would rely on small unit tactics to repel enemy assaults, utilizing the element of surprise and hit-and-run tactics when necessary. Both sides utilized a mixture of arms and tactics that were largely a product of their colonial past. The similarities are striking, but so too are the differences. What is clear is that despite the level of firepower available to modern armies, it is the infantry who often bear the brunt of the fighting. Thank you very much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please show your support. It really helps the channel grow and allows us to produce more quality videos. Don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already and join our growing community. See you all again soon.